So I bought a 3D printer. This is a Bambu Lab A1 Mini, and that's just some filament that I bought for it to get going. So let's check it out. First things first, let's get all this out of the way. I'm a noob when it comes to 3D printing. I have very little experience with this. Obviously, this wasn't sent to me. This video is not sponsored in any kind of way. I bought this thing with my own money. And that's really where we start, is the price. $250 Canadian. It's about $185 US. This is a budget entry-level printer. The whole point of this video is just how far 3D printers have come in like 3 years and how good even an entry-level one like this is. This thing's got full auto calibration, so like the automatic bed leveling. It's got vibration and flow rate compensation. It basically, on initial setup, it would vibrate all the axes at different frequencies. It does this thing where it runs through all the noise levels. So this active motor noise canceling, and after it runs through that, the printer is actually noticeably quieter. This thing is fairly quiet. It's fast. The print quality is amazing. This does support multicolor printing. I'm not going to be getting into that. I don't have the room for that. I don't really have the desire for that. Again, full auto calibration with bed leveling, vibration resonance, nozzle pressure. It does all this calibration stuff. This active flow rate compensation, it seems to test the flow rate before every print. It does waste a little bit of filament, but they're claiming that it makes the print quality better. And you know what? I have to, I got to take their word for it, because the print quality coming off this thing is amazing. And this is all based on the little experience that I have with another 3D printer we're going to talk about in comparison. But we're not so much comparing brands. We're comparing, again, just the difference in 3 years and how far these have come in 3 years. And then obviously they have their own slicer program. They have like this Bambu Studios for the desktop, and then this Bambu Handy is the mobile version. That's how easy this is to use. You can just pop out your phone, go in their app, search for something, and print it. This was also really easy to set up out of the box. There wasn't a lot of like assembly required. I've seen a lot of other cheap 3D printers in the like $200 to $250 Canadian price range over the last year, but they were both like flat packed in a really small box. Obviously, I would assume to keep the price of shipping down. So there's a lot of assembly required. Like, you've got to assemble like all these different arms, right? Like, it all comes just flat packed in a box, and you got to assemble the whole thing. On this guy, there was very little assembly, so I'll talk about that more when we actually show the printer. Now, again, this is all compared to my limited knowledge. At work, we about 3 years ago, we got one of these. This is a Creality Sermoon. I guess it's pronounced Sermon. I don't know. Sermoon V1. I don't know if we had the V1 or the V1 Pro. But this, when it came out about 3 years ago, might have been closer to 4 years now. But this was $650 Canadian when this came out. Now, again, it's been around for a few years now. You can get them now for more like $400 to $450. But we're talking about how far this has come in 3 years. Again, 3.5 years. We'll just call it 3.5 years. 3.5 years ago, this was a $650 printer. And as far as I can tell so far, my $250 printer is just blowing this thing out of the water in every aspect. Okay? Now, this one's enclosed. So, not a super fair comparison here. Obviously, an enclosed one, that's going to cost more. And, if you've got, like, pets or little kids and you're like worried about them like trying to smack this thing or hit it or whatever while it's running, you really might need to get an enclosed one. But oh boy, let me tell you, as far as I can tell, this thing is faster, a lot faster. I think this is like 2 times faster, maybe even more. And I think the print quality is better, again, from what I can tell. And it's easier to use, it's easier to set up. This does not have auto bed, at least the one we had. Again, I don't know if we had the Pro or not, but ours didn't have auto bed leveling. So like every once in a while, you'd have to stick a piece of paper on the bed, bring the bed up to the nozzle, and adjust it until the
basically the distance between the nozzle and the bed was so small that you could barely slide the paper in and out. And of course you'd have to do this, I think it was all four corners and then the center. Not on this thing, man. This is auto bed leveling. This is easier to use. It's faster, and the print quality's better. And it's almost like, a third of the price? $250 versus, again, this was like $650 when we got this thing. This thing does, I think it's 175 millimeters squared. This guy does 180 millimeters squared. So that's like 7 inches, cubed, I should say. 7 inches cubed. So this could print like a 7-inch cube. That's pretty decent for the size of this thing. You know, this is the mini model after all. And honestly, for me personally, and the kind of things I'm going to be printing most of the time, I think that's big enough. So they're very close. So I mean, I'd almost call that a draw. But technically, this can print something slightly larger. It's faster. I think the quality's better. Again, this is fairly quiet. It does have like a silent mode, but even in the regular mode, I think it's quiet enough that if it's in like the corner of a room while you're watching like TV or something, it's not going to bother you. Very impressed with this thing. This thing's got a color touchscreen on it. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got a little LED that will come on and a camera. You can check on your phone over the app with Wi-Fi, you know, if you want to watch this thing printing in real time. Most of them have that. This one had the camera and the Wi-Fi and the color touchscreen. But man, at $185, $250 Canadian, 185 US, how are they making any money off of this thing? Like, this thing seems well built. It was well packaged. It had to come in a large box because, again, it was almost fully assembled. With all the auto features this has, how quick it is. This is how far we've come in 3 years. That this one that was $650 3 years ago, in my opinion, is getting beaten by this thing. So here's their desktop slicer program. But, you know, you find something that you like and you want to print it, click on it. There's usually different, like, size options and stuff. Hit download and open. And there it is, ready to go. It knows what printer I have. It knows what kind of filament I have. I just hit print, and my printer will frickin' print it. Let's take a look at it.
All right, so here it is. Now, you saw the box that it came in for reference. It's a fairly big box. It had a lot of foam in it, all sides, top, in here. As you would expect, well packaged. But yeah, I'm going to turn it on. This is some Creality brand PLA filament. Again, I wanted orange, and that's... Yeah, it makes some loud noises when you turn it on, and you know, when a print finished, kind of like a microwave beeping at you to tell you that it's done, but it plays like a little jingle. So again, color touchscreen. Again, it's got Wi-Fi, real easy to set up on the touchscreen. Obviously, you can just put in your Wi-Fi password, and then a little QR code comes up on the screen. Point your phone at it, and that'll install the app on your phone. Again, very simple, very little setup. As far as initial installation, there's basically this arm that the filament roll goes onto. That had to be attached, so there's a couple screws. And on this arm here, this little tray, this is what cuts the filament off and grabs the excess filament. And this little thing here had to be screwed on. And again, 2 screws, pop that on. They do want you to lube these rails. So they gave us some oil to lube those rails with. And yeah, the bed plate was already on there. For the most part, ready to go. Again, they say 20 minutes for initial setup. Probably took me a little bit longer, to be honest. Probably took me like 30 minutes. But once you know what to do, honestly, you could pull this thing out of the box and probably within like 10 minutes be ready to go. So it came with everything that you need. A very small amount of white filament to get you started. And of course, it's got a 32 gigabyte SD card that it came with. And on that card was, of course, Benji. This is, if you're into 3D printing, you'll know Benji. It's this little boat that is often considered, I don't know, it's like a good thing to test print when you first get a 3D printer set up. You know, it does have some overhang angles on it, and it's got some, you know, holes. But yeah, as you can see, it printed that out okay. Again, quality's pretty good. You can barely see the layer lines on this. And it printed this in like 15 minutes. So it's a good little test print. They really don't give you a lot of test filament to start with. I printed this little thing to scrape the plate, and that was almost all of it. If you buy one of these, you will want to buy some filament to get started. That is a 1 kilogram spool of filament, and that they usually come in a 0.5 kilogram or a 1 kilogram. And the 1 kilogram ones are usually about $20 Canadian. And I mean, that will print quite a lot. It's pretty surprising how much you can print with one roll of filament. Out of the box, once I got it on Wi-Fi, of course, like everything these days, it did have a firmware update to do. So I let it do the firmware update. And then it literally came up on the screen and said, you need to lube the rails. Here's a YouTube video showing you how to do it. And a QR code came up, scanned it. It brought me right to the YouTube video showing me how to lube the rails. Again, fairly easy setup. Although, to be honest, there was a few things I wasn't 100% sure about at first coming, like as a total noob coming to this, building it for my first time. There's a couple things where they could maybe be a little bit more clear with in the instructions, but they try to keep it pretty simple. The quick start guide itself is very simple. But of course, they also have YouTube videos. So if you really want, just watch the YouTube video and go along with that. I used the quick start manual to do the initial setup, but then I used the YouTube video once I got to the point about lubing the rails. What else do I need to say? Again, it's fairly quick. It's fairly quiet. The print quality is pretty good. First thing I printed once I got the orange on there is a Game Boy Color stand. So this took about an hour and a half to print, but the quality on this is ridiculous. I can't even see the layer lines on here. Look at this. You cannot see the layer lines on this. Here you can just barely feel them on this angled bit. And in here down in the bottom you can see them. But on the sides, you cannot see them. And I love the texture on the bottom. It's got a textured plate, and the stuff really sticks to the plate. Yeah, that took about an hour and a half to print. Again, pretty impressive. I like these style of stands, these angled stands that you literally just place your Game Boy in. Now this is a Game Boy stand for like a DMG. I printed this on that Sermon V1 at work, maybe a year or two ago now. And this took like, geez, I think this took like 8 hours to print. Now it is a little bit bigger, to be fair, right? It's a little bit taller at the front. But this is flat, and this is kind of angled down. So that height-wise, probably about the same. But yeah, it's a little bit wider. It's a little bit deeper on the stand. It does have a little bit more to sit on, which is nice, especially for a bigger DMG. I really like the design of this stand, but the point is that it took about 8 hours to print this on that $650 printer. And this printed this in an hour and a half on a $250 printer. Again, you cannot even see the layer lines on this. But look at the layer lines on this. And you can see this back half was lifting right off the bed while I was printing. So, as far as I can tell, the quality of this printer is better even when printing at a faster speed. That's incredible. This thing, as far as I can tell, performance-wise, blows that old one out of the water. at a fraction of the price. And again, this isn't Creality versus Bambu Lab. This is 3-year-old printer versus brand new printer. This is how far we've come in 3 years. These are gotten super cheap, and the quality and the ease of use and everything's gone up. And it's just insane that this whole thing is $250 Canadian or 185 US dollars. It also came with this. So this is like a random thing that you'll get with these. This one's a clock kit. So it has like a little quartz movement, and the whole idea is that you're going to print your own little clock. Now this is random. So at work we have the exact same printer, and it came with a mouse kit to make your own mouse. Yeah, make your own mouse. So imagine all the internals of the mouse, like the sensor and the switches and the scroll wheel, and then you have to print like the shell. Like, how freaking cool is that? A freaking working mouse, and it came with a $250 Canadian, $185 printer. Clock kit, pretty cool too. I think there's like a lamp or a flashlight or something. I'm not sure how many different things there are, but these little like kind of DIY, kind of like fun little, builder kit things. You will get one with the printer. Just might not be the clock. It might be some other random thing. All right. Now, I'm going to show you how easy... So this is the Game Boy Color stand that I printed. You'll notice it's flat here on the front, and that's because the guy that designed this designed a bunch of different little front, plates where you can have like Game Boy Color or Nintendo or whatever you want on the front plate. So I printed this, but I haven't printed the front plate yet. So I'm going to show you how easy this is. Literally going to pull my phone out of my pocket. Again, we just turned this thing on. I haven't touched anything on the printer. Okay? We're going to open up their app on the phone here. I am going to go search. I'm going to put Game Boy Color stand. We're going to see a bunch, but the one that I liked was... Shit. Where is the one I liked? Where is the one that I did? See, there's a lot of these where the Game Boy kind of sits on top of the stand and it doesn't go in it. I do not like those style of stands where if you just tap the Game Boy, it falls off of it. So yeah, I always like this style. Okay, so I think it was this one here. Yep. Okay, so we already printed this part, but we didn't print the title plate or whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna just hit prepare to print. Okay. It already knows I have the A1 Mini. It already knows I have PLA in the printer. I'm gonna hit next. Okay. It already knows that we printed this part, the base. It says printed. So we're going to come over. See, there's like Pokemon, Donkey Kong, the old Game Boy logo, and Game Boy Pocket. Where the heck's Game Boy Color? You would think that would be like the first. There we go. So let's just hit print and see what happens. It says sending print job. Downloading. And now the printer is starting. Okay. On here we see a picture of what we're printing. And we see all the specs we would need to know. So the temperature of the nozzle is going up. I think it goes up to like 220 or 230 degrees Celsius. The bed is also going to start heating up. I think the bed will get up to 40 or 60 degrees Celsius. I think it goes up to like 60. Again, right now it's doing a vibration calibration. So, you hear some weird noises? It wants to know how much it's going to vibrate while it's printing, because this thing gets moving pretty quick. And when that thing starts flying around, it can actually shake the whole thing. You'll hear the fan ramp up for the nozzle. All right now it's doing cleaning of the nozzle. Okay, right now it's doing bed leveling. Not a full bed leveling. A full bed leveling will go around the whole bed. But just for like a print like this, it's just going to do a quick little one kind of in the center of the bed. So the nozzle's 216 degrees Celsius right now. And there it just laid down a line of filament. And now it says dynamic flow calibration. So right now it's just spitting out filament into this little waste cup thing. And it, like I said, it does waste a little bit of filament, but really it's almost an insignificant amount in the grand scheme of things. This does take some time, but in the end, this thing still finishes faster than that Sermon V1, and the print quality is better. So this dynamic flow calibration, we can turn it off if we want to, but I don't know. It's on by default, and I think there's probably a reason for that. So the fan will ramp up, that'll cool it down, then it cuts it and spits it out. And there it is. So this is how much it wasted. Okay? Again, is it worth it? How much better or how much worse is the print quality going to be without that? I'm not sure. Again, it's on by default. I think it's probably for a reason. But now you can see it's starting to print. So again, on the phone, that's what we see. It's not like real time. It's like, you know, 1 frame a second or possibly less. You just need to check in on it and make sure the print's going good. And if I want, I can stop it from the phone. Of course, everything that's showing on the phone, it's also showing on the screen here, right? So how much time it's going to take, the percentage we're done. There's a button here to turn the light on and off. By default, the light will come on when you start printing. And obviously, for the sake of the camera, you probably want the light on. Just a little LED light there. But yeah, and obviously you got your stop and pause buttons there. But yeah, as you can see, it's going away there. And yeah, it says it's going to be 30 minutes. So we'll check back on that in 30 minutes. All right, so that actually finished quicker than I thought. Once it started printing, really only took like 10 minutes to print this. Obviously, it's not very tall. It's not a very large item, so that makes sense. But in this case, because it's so small and it was such a quick print, the kind of initial, you know, it did the vibration check and then the bed level check and then the flow rate check. That probably took longer than actually doing the print itself in this case. So, yeah. Anyways, just to show you, for you guys who are new to this, I'm new to this, but if you're all wondering, how do you get this thing off? Because it's going to be stuck to that bed pretty good. The bed's still warm, okay? You could try and pry this off. You know, you might break it, you might bend it. This is magnetic. Okay, so this is like your bed plate, okay? And you can just give this a little bend. And, oh, there it goes. I heard that crack. Oh, there you go. You can hear that cracking. Now, of course, as it cools down, it also might pop off a lot easier. So in this case, I probably could have just waited for it to cool down a little bit. But there we go. Just like that. And then this has like a little alignment notch at the back. So I kind of just push it towards the back and let it drop on. All right. And again, got a bit of depth to the lettering. And the quality, again, on that is pretty good. So that'll glue on there, right? And glue that on the front. And that'll look a little something like that. And obviously, if you did this in like white and you just wanted to paint it, I'm probably not going to bother painting it. But yeah, if you were going to paint it, I mean, just do that in white filament and paint like your colors on there. And that could look pretty cool, right? But just like that, I think it looks pretty cool.
So yeah, I just have to glue that on there.